In March 2026, a small startup in San Francisco released a video. And in it, a fruit fly walks across the surface, it grooms its antenna, and it even extends its mouth and starts to eat. Now, this is normal, right? Flies do that, they eat and stuff. But this fly doesn't exist. It has no body, no nervous system, no tiny little disgusting fly soul. But what it has is a computer. And inside that computer, every single neuron from a real fruit fly's brain, wired together exactly as nature built them and switched on. The fly walked because the brain told it to. Nobody programmed the walk. To understand what just happened, you need to understand what a connectome is. See, your brain is not just neurons, it's neurons connected to other neurons in a specific pattern. And that pattern is different for every animal that has ever lived. Map every connection in a brain, and completely you have its connectome, its wiring diagram. For a human brain, 86 billion neurons, roughly 100 trillion connections. Mapping the connectome is, for now, basically science fiction. But a fruit fly? A fruit fly has 140,000 neurons, which still sounds like a lot, but it isn't. Your retina alone has more than that. So, starting in 2018, a team at Princeton began slicing a fruit fly's brain 1 nanometer at a time, over 20 million slices, imaged by electron microscope and then stitched together by machine learning into a complete three-dimensional map of every neuron and every synapse. They called it Project Flywire. By 2024, the map was done. 140,000 neurons, 50 million synaptic connections, the complete wiring diagram of a mind. And then someone asked the obvious question: what if we just ran it? And here's the thing about maps: a map of a city is not a city. You can stare at a street map of Paris for 1,000 years and never smell a croissant. Neuroscientists had the same problem. A connectome is just a map. Knowing where every neuron connects doesn't tell you what happens when you turn the whole thing on. A brain doesn't exist in a vacuum, it exists in a body. A brain without a body isn't thinking, it's just a diagram. This is what Eon Systems figured out. They took the Flywire connectome, ran it through a neural simulator, a program that models how electrical signals actually fire through connected neurons, and then, critically, they attached it to a virtual body, a physically accurate, physics simulated fly body with 87 independently moving joints, modeled from an X ray scan of a real fruit fly. The legs felt like they had weight, antenna with sensory input, and a mouth that detected simulated sugar. And then they switched it on. And with no training, no reinforcement learning, no programmer writing, just a brain in a body, receiving signals from the world, doing what brains in bodies do. And it walked. It groomed its antenna when they got dirty. The same stereotyped leg motion real flies use, triggered by the same sensory input through the same neural pathway that exists in biological fruit flies. When the simulation exposed sugar to the mouth sensors, 47 neurons fired in sequence and the proboscis extended. They identified the 14 neurons that are actually critical to that response. The behavior was in the structure of its brain, of its body, this whole time. Nobody taught this fly how to walk. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Every AI model that you've heard of, GPT, Gemini, all of them were trained. Billions of parameters adjusted over billions of examples until the outputs were good enough. The fruit fly brain running in this simulation was trained by exactly nobody. It was copied, and it produced coherent, adaptive, multi behavior intelligence. GPT 4 has an estimated 1.8 trillion parameters. The fruit fly connectome has 50 million synaptic connections. The fly is 36,000 times smaller and got its behavior for free because the behavior was already baked into the architecture by 500 million years of evolution. The implication, and researchers are being careful about how loudly they say this, is that intelligence might not primarily be a scale problem. It might be a structure problem. We've been building bigger and bigger models when the more important question might be, what is the right way to wire things together? We don't know, but the fly does. Or rather, the fly is the answer, and we're only just learning to read it. Eon Systems has announced their next target is a mouse brain. 70 million neurons, 560 times larger than the fly. And after that, the math gets uncomfortable really fast. The human brain has 86 billion neurons, about 660,000 times more than the fruit fly. Nobody is claiming we're close to uploading a human brain. The compute requirements alone are currently incomprehensible. But 3 months ago, nobody had uploaded any brain into a body and watched it behave like itself. And now we have a fruit fly in a computer in San Francisco, walking around on digital legs, grooming digital antenna, tasting digital sugar, running on the same wiring diagram it would have if it were alive. Whether that makes it alive is a question we are completely unprepared to answer.